Hey guys, welcome back. Drip and Farm for Poverty. I'm your host, Drip Coach, dropping knowledge bombs on all Forex Shark related projects. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the SEC, who they are, what they do, what kind of control do they have, and what does that mean for DeFi? And more importantly, what is the precedence that we've already learned about them? So I'm going to try to give you a clear, simple understanding of all these topics. And first and foremost, starting with what is the SEC? So we throw these acronyms around a lot, and many of us may not even realize who they are, what they do. So the simplest way to explain the SEC is like a referee in a sports game. But instead of watching a game, they watch companies to make sure they're playing by the rules. So the SEC is the Security and Exchange Commission, and it's basically a group of people who work for the government and are in charge of making sure that companies that sell stocks or bonds follow these rules. Now, when a company doesn't follow the rules, the SEC can investigate them, and this means they look at all the things the company has done to see if they're breaking any rules. If the SEC finds that a company has broken a rule, they can try to punish them. The punishment can include things like making the company pay money or even shutting the company down so it can't do business anymore. So overall, they're pretty much like a watchdog for companies, and they've currently been taxed or are trying to take over basically crypto regulation. So what's important to note, though, is that the SEC has the power to bring charges against individuals or companies for these rules that they've broken. However, it is up to the court to decide if the person or company is guilty and what punishment they should receive. The SEC can recommend a punishment to the court, but the final decision is up to the judge. The SEC can also settle with a company or an individual, which means they come to an agreement without going to court. So that's important to note. So essentially, the SEC is nothing more than a body that brings about lawsuits. They don't actually have the power to do anything on their own. So when you hear these things about the SEC investigating, that's literally just the start of something. And that investigation, as we know with our judicial system in the US, usually goes on forever and ever and ever. So what people are actually doing is just panicking because an investigation is being done. Yeah, of course, it can not side in your favor, but just because it's an investigation or the SEC is bringing about charges is no cause for alarm, which brings us to one of the longest investigations the SEC has been dragging their feet on, which is the Ripple case. If you're not familiar with XRP and with the company Ripple and the cryptocurrency XRP, they started in 2012, and the SEC brought about this litigation, if you will, like 3 years ago, and essentially still has yet to create any guidelines surrounding crypto tokens, and they just keep trying to do regulation by enforcement. And ironically, the courts are now pretty much getting fed up with that. So most recently, I guess Ripple's fair notice defense is what they're trying to put in. So basically, they cited a court ruling where a Romanian immigrant was charged with failing to file relevant reports for 272 bank accounts. However, he used the fair notice defense, or that's where the fair notice defense came from, saying that he wasn't given fair notice from the SEC. So instead of paying almost $3 million, he only had to pay $10,000. And Ripple is trying to use the same thing potentially with the way the SEC is doing this. Additionally, there was the more recent information from the XRP case about using this fair notice warning in the courts. And I think this was like 2 days ago or something like that whenever this posted. So we're still waiting on that to find out how that rules. But on top of that ruling is something that already got stated and put into, I guess you could say, the law books, if you will, under oath. The SEC had acknowledged publicly that secondary sales of crypto tokens are not securities. So this was related to the library case. So the SEC brought up a lawsuit against, I guess it's a lawsuit against the library company, and tried to say that their initial sale of the tokens and the secondary sales was security. So they actually, in favor of SEC saying that yes, the initial sale was an unlicensed security. However, all the secondary sales are not. So what's big about that, and I mentioned this before, is that the same thing could be applied to XRP. The same thing could be applied to any other crypto token. So what can happen possibly is that this precedence could be set where if a token is indeed a unlicensed security, secondary sales of that token are not. So once that token is listed on a DEX or a centralized exchange, it's no longer, those sales going back and forth are no longer licensed securities. So also this would make the precedent for this BS case with Paxos and BUSD. But what does this mean really for crypto in the US? Well, what I think it means is that the SEC, Gary Gensler, and all those people in charge right now are going to essentially over-regulate crypto to making it very difficult for US citizens in the short term. And I mean that because you have this MiCA bill in Europe that is basically doing what the US should be doing. So the EU has created a set of rules for how cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum are regulated. These are the MiCA rules, and they will make it easier for people to use cryptocurrencies in Europe by providing clear guidelines for businesses that offer cryptocurrency services. And MiCA also includes specific rules for stable coins. So that's huge. So we could see an EU-backed stable coin or whatever, or some kind of regulation coming here, which would mean people would stop using USDC and USDT potentially. Not saying that would actually happen, but all that's going to happen is if the US can't get their shit together, then it's going to cause people to look elsewhere to more crypto-friendly countries and crypto-friendly assets to park their capital. So if a stable coin comes out of the EU, then why not, you know, use that and get pegged to that? Like there already is a few, I think, out there. But all that means, like I said before, is that if the SEC continues to go down this warpath, it's just going to cause people to migrate over. And now they could go the extreme route and do what they did, where they tried to sanction, like they did with Tornado Cash. And this could happen with DeFi. So it's not likely, but they can't stop DeFi in totality. But again, what they could try to do is sanction it and make websites or whatever illegal, and then try to blacklist wallets and stuff like that, the same way they did with Tornado Cash. That would be going really, really far down the rabbit hole, but it's a possibility. Like, I don't think US would ever do that, like a 0.01% chance, but that's just something you have to be aware of. That is one of the weapons in their arsenal, because they already did it for Tornado Cash. So what this means in the long term or short term is that you just need to be aware of what's going on in the crypto space and all the moves being made and pivot accordingly. So I don't think there's going to be any issues in DeFi for us. When one door closes, 10 more will open. You can't get rid of this. If you go back into the 90s and you're familiar with the whole Napster saga, when they started first giving away free music, they basically put a lawsuit out on Napster, and then all of a sudden torrent sites came out and everything else came out, and then they had to find a way to say, let's monetize digital music, and iTunes came out, right? So it's gonna be the same thing with this. Cryptocurrency is not going anywhere, and they're gonna try to make lawsuits with this and try to regulate it, but it is so fast and widespread and being adopted exponentially that they're gonna have no choice but to get behind it and try to get their slice of the pie through some more favorable regulation. So worst case scenario, US regulates himself out of the district and then eventually plays catch up to get back in because of other places like the EU and Dubai and Thailand and stuff putting in favorable regulation for traders and investors and crypto enthusiasts. And then we'll just end up migrating with the space. So pack your bags, you might have to move. Maybe that's the worst case scenario. All right, that's all I got for this one. So just an update on the SEC, because somebody asked me about that, what my thoughts are and stuff like that. So I don't think you have anything to worry about in that regard. There will always be DeFi. It just might change a little bit from what we see. And again, the contracts are immutable, and Binance is not going anywhere. Oh, specifically about Binance, forgot to mention that. This came out about Binance, basically saying that even though Silvergate's going to be shutting down and has issues, Binance is not tied to them. Binance funds are SAFU, CZ says. And Binance also got the okay to acquire Voyager Digital. So that's another big thing as well. So Binance is making moves, and that's not going anywhere. And since that's who we're tied to, they are the behemoth in the DeFi space. So you can be rest assured that crypto and DeFi in that regard are not going anywhere at all. All right, that's all I got. Hope it provided some value. If it did, you know the drill. Smash that HBO special. Help a brother out. Like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya. Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now